We're starting our Thinkers Forum 24, Civilization State in Multiple and Multipolar Perspectives.
Civilization state and the liberal world order, are they bound to collide with each other?
I find in Chinese they say 你重要我重要你.
South Africa is going through its own transition. It's going through typical challenges that 30-year-olds go through.
They're looking to Russia for peace, for prosperity, for new world order.
Good morning, dear colleagues, guests, friends. We're starting our Thinkers Forum 24, Civilization State in Multiple and Multipolar Perspectives. So we all know there are serious changes occurring in the world system, and there are a lot of different concepts shared by all of us who are representing the most important countries of BRICS. So the main question that stands among us is the definition of a civilization state and the proper understanding of this concept. Does it really exist? What are its criteria and special features? How does this concept fit into the diverse contexts of the emerging multipolar world, etc.? So a lot of our colleagues are involved in deep debates about this new concept, which fits actually in the general understanding of the world system and its evolution.
It's indeed a great pleasure that we host for the first time the Thinkers Forum, together with our brotherly partners, the Oriental Institute, Russian Academy of Sciences, on the occasion of 75th anniversary of Sino-Russian diplomatic relations, and this particular Sino-Russian Year of Culture, and also this particular year of BRICS Summit to be held in Russia. So this is indeed fascinating in many ways. As we are aware, this discourse on civilizational state has now become the mainstream discussions worldwide. I remember British writer Aris Rusinus said a spectre, he coined the phrase together like the Communist Manifesto, a spectre is haunting the liberal West, the rise of the civilizational state. And not long ago, the American American journal, National Interest, also published a frontline article. It's called the Allure for the Civilizational State, the Attractiveness of Civilizational State. And the subtitle is Civilizational State and the Liberal World Order. Are they bound to collide with each other? I think with the world increasingly multipolar, we are witnessing the rise of civilizational state and civilizational discourse around the world, especially across the Eurasian continent, from China to Russia, to India, to Iran, to Turkey, and even to ASEAN countries, which represent 75% of the global population and 60% of the world GDP. I think it's only natural that leading scholars from China, Russia, and BRICS, and more, together to discuss this hugely important topic. The very theme, civilizational state in multiple and multipolar perspectives, it involves three concepts. One is civilization state, as just now Professor Nomkin mentioned in our program. This concept will discuss its relation with multipolarity and more. And multiple perspective, which means, say, theoretical, academic, policy-oriented perspectives, and the Chinese perspective, Russian perspective, Indian perspective, more. And multipolar perspective, which means we put the whole topic in the context of fast-changing world order from unipolarity to multipolarity. So that's how we have designed, together with our Oriental Institute, on the scene of the forum. And I said many times, if the United States is known for its deep state, which has done so much harm to American people per se, and to the world at large, it's therefore important for leading scholars from this country to get together. And I said the United States is known for deep state, but civilizing states are known for their deep peoples and deep cultures. And it's particularly true for Eurasian continent. And they all have their time-honored traditions for their own way of life, for organizing family and social life, for individual collective relationship, for state-societal relations, and for world peace and prosperity. So it's this kind of deep-rooted civilizational roots that are driving the rapid rise of a more humane, better governed, and more just world order to replace this outdated and unjust, immoral unipolarity. So with this slightly optimistic note, I wish the forum a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Now, I would like to introduce to you Professor Binod Singh from India.
Thank you, Mr. President Vitaly Nomkin, and thanks to our Chinese organizers from Fudan University. It's an honor to attend this very first forum in Moscow. This noon, I'm going to speak on why a country like India should go back to the original thought of foundation of New India, that is the thought of Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Nehru. When we're talking about civilizational states here, first of all, in India, we have a consensus that Moscow is the place where we're looking for new ideas. 1917 is in the deep memory of every Indian scholar, professors, especially the university where I come from. It's called Nehru University. So all of my colleagues and my seniors and my professors, they have been students of Soviet Union. They may not have been here, but they have been deeply influenced by Soviet political thinking. India is known for philosophers. If you want to make money, they say you go to USA. Or if you want to see wealth, you go to China. If you want to see the nature's beauty, you come to Russia. But if you want to see philosophers, you go to India. It is true. India, although we speak English and our education system is deeply influenced by the Western system, but if you have an Indian friend, his soul is still Indian. Doesn't matter, he lives in Silicon Valley or he lives in Shanghai or in Moscow. This is something amazing about India. But we always say in India that India is not a country. India is an idea. So when we open the BBC and CNN, what's happening in genocide in Gaza, in Israel, we really thought of Mr. Gandhi, who was one of the first to talk about two independent states, especially for Palestine. But you know, in a democracy, when a leader is very strong, the current dispensation in India is not very vocal to support the way China is supporting the rights of Palestinians. So this is something that was very clear in the election result. He lost it. The state of UP, the Uttar Pradesh, the largest state, is full of Muslim population. They just said no. And I hope our leadership gets the message very clearly. We cannot stand with any deep state or state terrorism. I'm not sure this is the time to go for in the depth. I really want to appreciate the stand of China, the stand of Russia. Yesterday evening, I had a long walk at the Red Square, Kremlin. The maximum number of people were from Aleppo, Arabic states. This is the first time I see Africans and the Muslim population, they're looking to Russia for peace, for prosperity, for new world order. They're totally disgruntled and disappointed with the so-called double standards of the United States and the West. So in India, I'm not sure I represent the diplomatic or the official version of Indian foreign policy, because now they're saying this again, like they stand both sides, something like non-aligned, you know. But the youth of India really thinks that we should have a clear stand that if American hegemonism is in decline, we should choose our side. We should work together, especially with China. I talk to many young people and they choose to learn Chinese language and go and work in China. They see the future is China. For the Russia, they say no need to talk. It's the oldest friend. No need to even speak about Russia. We are just one. There's no differences between Indian and Russian foreign policy. When it comes to China, where the Chinese philosophy of Chairman Mao Zedong starts with the power comes from the barrel of the gun, but the Gandhian philosophy is very opposite. So at times we see that we are antagonistic, but in reality, if you go to the history of Chinese culture and Indian culture, I find in Chinese they say "Ni chung yao wo, wo chung yao ni." I see everywhere the Chinese philosophy and Indian philosophy, a shared philosophy in Asia. And again, the Indian philosophy with the Arabic Islamic philosophy is so mixed that when my friends go to India and they ask for Indian sari, Indian dress, Indian sweets, it's so impacted by Turkey, Mongols, and different cultures that I really cannot make a distinction between what is Indian and what is Arabic. So I look forward for the detailed discussion today about what kind of civilization state China is putting on the table. Can we share it, or is it going to be, again, the way Americans say American way? Now you say Chinese way. So we have to be different from Americans. Then only we have more followers.
Thank you very much. Finally, we have another guest, esteemed guest and friend from South Africa, Dr. Busani Ndiaweni.
Good morning to all the friends here in Moscow and from India. I hope I will share the perspective from South Africa later today to see how South Africa sees the world as it evolves today, and how the civilizational stage is evolving as a counter-hegemon to what we have seen over the last couple of decades. South Africa is going through its own transition. Now it's 30 years old, and therefore, like all other 30-year-olds, it has lost some innocence. It can now be treated as an adult. It's going through typical challenges that 30-year-olds go through. If you think of our own countries when they were 30, more or less similar transitions to occur at various proportions. And I hope to share that perspective. And thank you for convening this dialogue, because this conversation ought to proceed given where the world is today and some of the challenges that many countries in the global south are going through. Some are criticizing the idea of having India, well as more China and Russia, in a conversation about the global south, because in the global north, a concept is emerging that there is actually a global east, and they are calling China a global east. So you remove it from the global south, and then they are trying to find another characterization, geographic, that is for Russia as a global northeast, so that it also stands on its own and is not part of the global south. So hopefully through this conversation, we can find some convergence and address some of the counters that we see emerging from the global north. Thank you.